Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Hello, it's Wise Women's Wednesday, and there they are. Hi, Doris, I'm so glad you're here. You guys ready for the holidays? I mean, they are upon us. There's no lie, they are here. I'm pretty much ready. So anyway, I hope that you are having a wonderful holiday season. And I hope too that Evelyn says she's staying warm. Me too. I've got my blankie on. Underneath my blankie is a warm heating pad and a heater's going. It's just chilly and we're going to get really cold. And I'm still going to play pickleball because I'm committed. Jocelyn's in the house and so is our lovely Martha. I'm so glad you're here. Paige, she's having a holly jolly day. What about you? And my darling, sweet Nancy, Mother Hen, is in the house. Hi, Linda. I'm glad you're all here because today's message, I think, is really important this time of year, right? Sandy's here. Hello, Sandy. I really want you to take this one to heart. You know, this was a message actually that I gave probably about 2 years ago. So I'm excited to give it again. And by the way, if you don't have your hot milk mix, I just finished mine, left it upstairs, just finished it. You can get it at savingdinner.com/hot milk mix. It's electrolytes and it also keeps you in ketosis. It's fantastic stuff. I want to remind you about the Christmas menus. They're out. You can get them. It's not too late. savingdinner.com/Christmas. They're free. And it's my little gift to you to say thank you so much for another year at Saving Dinner. This is our 21st. It's going to be 22 years. 22 years. Can you believe that? 22 years in January. We're going to celebrate. The other thing that we want to talk about is that we have a webinar coming up. This is so critical. There's a lot of people are asking us questions, so I want to answer them all together for Take Back Your Body. Take Back Your Body is a class that we're going to be doing together with a workbook, and I'll be able to show that to you pretty soon. Their workbooks are on their way with a workbook, and it's 8 weeks of just being together, hot seats, and really getting into the trenches of what taking back our body means, because it's different for everyone. For some people, it's just all about, I just want to lose weight. For other people, it's about feeling good in their skin again. And for other people, it's a combination. And you can have your reason, you know, and full permission to be fully yourself. You know, I don't like it when people say, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. You should be able to, you should stop shooting on me, right? That's not what this is about. So if you are interested in taking back your body for 2023, listen up, sign up for our webinar. It's coming December 27th at savingdinner.com/class. That's the link. And the other thing that I want to tell you is the early action taker bonuses are going fast. We've already got 5 taken. That means there's 10 left. And all I'm suggesting is maybe you want to go take a peek-see right now and go to savingdinner.com/body, because that's where the page is to explain everything, all the bonuses, and what it's all about. If you feel that little something inside, a little tickly, butterfliesy thing, and you really want to get into the trenches with yourself, I know a great group of women that are waiting for you, because it's going to be really, really amazing group. So it's at savingdinner.com/body. We have $170 worth of bonuses that are free. You will get in your hot little hands. Isn't that fun? And lastly, we also have an extra 5% off, meaning a total of 20% off all of our kits, because we're going to be starting the sprint in January. So don't forget about that. So go to savingdinner.com/show for that one. And you know what you're going to get with this, as well as the extra 5% off, you'll get a free quote deck. Quote decks are the best. They have all this beautiful quotes, and on a little, they come with a little easel. I should have show and told it, but I didn't. But they'll always remind you of who you are. That's one thing. Or tap you on the shoulder and say, this is who you're meant to be. It's amazing. You're going to love it. Anyway, those are my announcements for today, isn't it? I did them all, right? Class did it. Oh, and don't forget about the quote of the week. This is something that, in your journals, you start writing these quotes out. They make you think. That's the whole idea behind them. But every action that you take is a vote for who you wish to become. James Clear said that. And it's true. It's really true, because your actions expose you for who you are, right? They do. They tell you exactly who you are. And I always look at that and think, am I in alignment? Because that's how you live truly in peace. That's what we've been talking about this week, by the way, is living in peace. And Wise Women's Wednesday, my favorite day, this is when we unload the good stuff. Because today we're really going to be focused on empathy as part of the peacemaking process. Peace with yourself, peace with the world, peace with your family, peace with those you love, your friends. Being a peacemaker, to me, is the ultimate responsibility. And don't you know, and here we have Zelensky coming here to the United States to talk to President Biden. I just wish peace in that part of the world. Peace, peace, and more peace. I hope these two men can get together and help make peace a reality. Unfortunately, I think it has a lot more to do with weapons, but I'm not in charge of the world. I wish I were sometimes. Get rid of all of them. Let's talk about compassion, though. We're going to start with compassion, because compassion means to suffer together. To suffer together. It comes about when you witness another person's suffering and are motivated to help relieve it, or at least reduce it, and do what you can. We have compassion. We see this. I mean, Compassion International. I used to, have them on my radio show. They were one of my sponsors when I had a radio show in Southern California 10 years ago. Good grief, it was not. It was 20 years ago. It shows you how fast time flies. But they were one of them. And it wasn't hard to work up a little compassion when you saw these children not being fed and not being schooled or clothed adequately. It really, you could feel it in your heart. We understand that. We see it on television when Sarah McLachlan starts singing that mournful song and we see all the puppies freezing in the cold. I can't even watch those commercials. We have the suffering animals. It's like, change the channel. Can't watch it. But it's empathy that is on the scale, that is above another scale in the emotional intelligence equation. And empathy is the ability to see another's perspective or pain and even feel it without ever having experienced it. In other words, you don't have to experience their pain. You can only step into it and just think, what would it be like being in their shoes? This takes another level up from compassion to go to that place. And then there's sympathy, of course. And sympathy is a whole lot simpler, because sympathy is understanding exactly what somebody's going through. For example, Nancy's a widow. Nancy also understands other widows' perspectives. She's been through it herself. So as a widow, she can understand that. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we, if you've experienced something, it's very simple for you to move into that place of emotionally understanding what another person is going through. There is a book called Becoming Empathetic by Ken Sande, Sande. He's of Peacemaker and Ministries, and he has an acrostic for empathy that I think is really great. Number 1, E, is enlist all your faculties, and I'm going to unpack these a little bit more in a minute. 2 is move in physically, verbally, and emotionally, and P is pray for discernment A is ask caring questions. T is to think deliberately. And H is in help in meaningful ways. And Y is yield your convenience, your pride, and your resources. And we're going to unpack that because it is something. It's a key component to becoming a peacemaker. And in this very torn, very fraught age that we live in these days, the polarization and the anger and the vitriol that just seems to emanate through our culture, becoming an empathetic soul is crucial. And it's one of the necessities to becoming a successful peacemaker. Because I don't know about you, one of the things that I want to do is I want to bring peace with me wherever I go, in whatever situation, with people I agree with and with people I don't agree with. It's something, it's a high calling, but I believe we're all called to it. So without empathy, we all know this, relationships just weaken. Relationships crumble without empathy. Because if we could only see things through our own lens, then how narrow is our world? And the thing is, though, we're all wired to be empathetic. It's in us. Some of us were raised in a situation where we didn't learn this till later. Some of us never learned it. Some of us can't put themselves in that place, and they just didn't develop the ability to do so. So we see empathy in action daily, don't we? We see it when we do things to help disaster-ridden nations, stricken nations. We do it when we send aid, to other areas of the country when they had hurricanes or tornadoes or whatever else. This is what responsible society does, and individuals who run that. So what I want to do is take that acrostic that I just gave you and kind of unpack it a little bit. And don't forget, if you don't get our show notes, you can simply by going to savingdinner.com. There's an annoying little pop-up that comes up that asks for your name and your email address, and you will get today's show notes in tomorrow's newsletter. We always do that because we never did it before, and we had people ask us, boy, it'd be really nice if we get a copy of your notes, Leanne, and now we publish them every single week, every day, pretty much. So number one is enlist all your resources. This is a good one. So you take the time to listen to what's really going on. Ask, how would I feel? What would I do? How can I help? The reason that we do this is because if without those probing questions, we're completely struck with, what do? We don't know. You don't know till you ask. You don't know till you ask. So oftentimes too, by being empathetic, by being a good listener and watching for cues, sometimes you can see that the person that you're asking might be holding back a little bit or maybe a little fearful. Look for that. And then you can start to ask even more in-depth questions. But asking these basic questions and taking the time to listen and reflect back on it is really helpful. Number two is move in physically, verbally, and emotionally. So sit close, hold a hand, and just sit in quiet if that's what is needed right then and there, and then reflect. One of the things that you can say is, that must have been hard. Sometimes we have a tendency to jump in and start talking about our own experience. I say hold back on that for a later time. Right now, being empathetic is all about that other person and saying just that this must have been hard, and just being the empathetic listener is a beautiful gift that you offer someone who's in dire need of that empathy. And it also helps them to make peace with what's going on inside of them. And just remember that if they get emotional, it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to to feel sad too and cry a little bit with them. Certainly we never want to tell them to, just put on a happy face and, here's your Kleenex. It's not very cool. And it's certainly not empathetic. Number three is a big one. It's to pray for discernment. Pray for discernment. By nature, empathy is reserved for those who are willing to go the extra mile, because it does take an extra mile. It takes time to be empathetic. It takes time to sit with somebody who's maybe in a hospital right now, or doing something that isn't, it isn't quick. It isn't just like drop and go kind of a thing, dropping a meal off, and that's valuable too. But with this, what we're talking about here is doing something that requires a little bit more of you. And so many times we just would rather not. If we're going to be honest, we'd rather not. You're thinking, oh, it's the holidays. I've got all this stuff to do. I don't want to go sit with Aunt Mildred in the hospital and hold her hand. But as an empathetic, wise woman, that's precisely what you do, knowing full well that the things on your list will get taken care of. There are people that you can delegate to, but being with Aunt Mildred, that is the gift that you're going to give this woman. And let me just say, God smiles down on that. So another thing that I've always, one of my favorite Bible verses is ask to have eyes to see and ears to hear. And this, walking into a situation like this, to have eyes to see and ears to hear, I promise you, you will figure out what to say and what to listen for and how to love. Because this is what it's all about. When we do this, we're genuinely praying to serve fully with a loving heart. And this is, I think, is just it's a sacrifice of time, but it's a beautiful way to love. It really is. Number 4, ask caring questions. One of my favorite questions to ask when somebody is in this space of needing a lot of empathy is not how are you doing, but how are you doing? Pause, really. And then just shut up and listen. Because oftentimes, how are you doing is met with a pat, oh, I'm fine, it's just really hard right now, or whatever. That is not what's needed right now. What's needed is basically you're giving permission to this other person to open up and to say what's going on, and to say this is a safe harbor for you. This is a place of love, and I'm here for you to give you the time and the resources and whatever it is that you need. How are you really? And then, if they just say, if it's appropriate, I'm here to listen. I'm here to listen. Number 5 is to think deliberately. We need some discernment. We need a little bit of logic. We need emotion, abstract thinking. Pull it all out. We need planning. That's all a part of deliberate thinking. And you might say to yourself, well, why is she saying that? Why is she doing that? What would I do? What would Jesus do? What would God do? How would this go? How would this make me feel? These are the things to keep you in the place of empathy and not start edging into the place of slapping down some, cheap advice. And we need to skip this, because skipping the advice is bending and leaning into the call of love. Remember, love is calling, not an advice column, right? Love is calling you if you are in this place of making that kind of peace with empathy. And number 6 is help in meaningful ways. You know what? Walk their dog. Take them a meal. Send a card. Do something that go pick up their kids from school, or what can I do? Go over and clean their house. What is it that these people need? We have a friend who, just lovely, some of our close friends here in where we live. And we have a ping pong table that's been downstairs, and we enclosed our upstairs deck with this big roll of vinyl, clear vinyl. And we completely enclosed our deck and brought the ping pong table upstairs. And our friend Bruce said, when you're going to take the ping pong table upstairs, I'll come over and help. And I was thinking, God bless you, because I was going to be the workhorse on that one. And Mark and I were going to do it ourselves. But you have to understand, it's downstairs, but it can't go through the stairwell. It's got to go outside, up the back stairs, across the driveway and then through the living room into the back deck, all a big loop-de-loop. He came over and did that for us just because he wanted to serve and be kind. And I just, I'll remember that forever. So this is helping in meaningful ways. Henri Nouwen, who wonderful, I think he was an Episcopal priest and an author. He wrote a book on forgiveness. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was a book that I needed to read at the time. And it was beautiful. And it shook me to my core. Any Henri Nouwen books that you can find, I would say read. They're beautiful. But this quote is gorgeous. To console doesn't mean to take away the pain, but rather to say, you are not alone. I am with you. Together we carry the burden. Together we carry the burden. Isn't that so pretty? Doesn't that land so beautifully? I love that. And number 7, of course, is to yield your convenience, your pride, and your resources. And that's a total non-agenda, by the way. There is no agenda. It's just to know my friend right now needs me. I need to be there for them. And it's going to cost you precious time. It's going to cost you resources. It's going to cost, but you give this with a willing heart, understanding that the sacrifice is there to be made because you love fully. That's what empathy is. And to me, this is true foot washing. And one of the things that we can do for each other. Empathy and humbleness require this. And so does peacemaking. So I don't know about you, but this is the type of woman that I want to be. It's the type of woman that I believe we all want to be and that we can step into simply by understanding it's not our agenda, it's God's agenda. And if he has put somebody in your life that needs an empathetic, not just a sympathetic ear, but an empathetic ear and an empathetic heart, you've been chosen to make peace on God's behalf. Bless you. Alrighty, there you go. Wise Women's Wednesday, done and dusted. Thank you so much for showing up today. I know it's busy in this holiday season, but if you have a chance, do sign up for the webinar that's happening on Tuesday, the 27th, right after Christmas. It's at savingdinner.com/class, CLASS, and we will see you there. The rest of it, well, go look at all of it. And if you missed any of the announcements, you can find them all at savingdinner.com/announcements. I appreciate you joining me today. Thank you so much again. I will see you tomorrow. Peace be with you.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.